construction. So we talked about time capture, going digital with that. But just to kind of do a high level overview of this, you can't just have one system that fixes one little problem. Sure, it might help. But when we talk about dual entry systems connecting to each other, that's when the change really happens and you're saving the most amount of time. Like Mary said previously, you might go from paper time cards to a digital time clock, but you're still doing dual entry when you're moving that into payroll. You're still doing dual entry when you then need to calculate the job costs, per project, and then do the approvals for that, making sure that everything lines up correctly on the financial side of it. So really full scope. When you look at best practices in construction, you can, look at these individual pieces. You need a construction specific time capture platform, something specific to your company, in fact. But you also need something that can flow into automatically to save you time on that end and mitigate mistakes. Some of the things, at least with time capture, GPS always really good, especially if you're in a strictly field environment. Some specialty contractors, they maybe only have 1 to 2 employees they're sending out to each site each day. You want to have the most accurate time possible. You want to make sure everybody's actually working when they're out in the field. You want to make sure that they're applying their hours to the right cost code, because then when it comes down to job costing, you want to have an idea of what you're spending too much time on. And we said it multiple times already. Labor is the biggest cost. Every hour is affecting the bottom line. So those things need to be correct, and that data needs to be clear when it comes into the back office, to allow industry leaders and everybody at the company to make smart decisions moving forward, whether it's around budget, costs, or even deciding if they want to take on a new project or not. Those things are important to have, and important to have in your back pocket. They shouldn't be scattered around the office in separate reports and separate drawers around everyone's office. They should all be within one system, accessible to everybody who needs them. So it's not just about, finding one system that solves one issue. It's about finding a collective systems that work well together to avoid double entry, and then store all that information and make sure everything's compliant when those reports come into play and they're all organized. Did you want to expand on that, Mary, at all, as far as switching to that digital time clock and then having that issue where, it was just one system, but then, moving forward, you need an ERP, something along those lines to really make use of that data that's getting pulled into the system?
Yes, and the issue was yes, of course, we upgrade to digital time tracking, but now we've got to get that into our PEO. At the time, we were using a PEO, which did not integrate with our ERP. And then we had to get all that also into the ERP. So we were, pretty much right where we started, with a little bit more efficiency, but still had the errors, still had the approval issues. Because, let's face it, construction guys are interested in building things. They are not interested in doing paperwork, and time cards are paperwork. So, having one system or an integrated system where they only have to touch it once is really key in getting folks to actually utilize those systems and use them properly. I mean, even if you have approval processes in place and things are supposed to be checked before they get to the office, they never were. I had an employee that spent all day Monday on the phone, having very strong conversations with guys out in the field because they missed a day. They had, 24 hours clocked in for a day because they forgot to clock out. They were on a job that they weren't assigned to. So it was still problematic. So having the right tools and picking and we were in the process of resolving all of that through integrations. We converted to Acumatica. We were looking at other solutions to then, build that whole integrated system, but it was one step at a time, right? First, we upgraded the ERP. That was step number 1. Got on digital time clocks. That was step number 2. Well, we did that first, but anyways, that was the goal that we had. And having the right tools, getting payroll software that is built for construction, tracking the time properly. You mentioned using GPS. I can't tell you how many times somebody was clocked in and we knew that they were in the middle of a bridge somewhere over the water and not at the job site 3 hours away where they said they were. And then they'd say, oh, well, my phone must have, no, no, that's not what happened. So, you're right. Knowing where your people are and what they're doing and when they're going to arrive at a job site, if there are delays in them getting there, automating everything cuts down on errors with your system integrations, and you have to be compliant. Labor laws and reporting rules are different in every state. They're different based on your type of contract. Is it certified? Is it not? Is it prevailing wage? Are you union? Jobs can be pretty complex, especially when you get into multi-state, multi-union payroll with different trades. And having these integrated systems really allows you to audit often, so that you've got that visibility into your payroll from when the time is entered and where your guys are in the field, before it ever gets to payroll. So you can eliminate that whole day of fixing errors just by having that data integrated.
And that addressing those errors up front, looking at capturing things as closest to the source as possible, helps eliminate that Monday morning calls out to folks, or certainly reduce it, as well as any implications from the effort to correct the things that are not captured correctly at the source, and the potential down the line to any fines or contractual implications, or strain relationships, whether that's with a contractor you're serving or with your personnel. And rather than leaving that to chance, the points that Noah and Mary are sharing are really some of those practices that get you ready to move forward and have derive the benefits of that integrated solution.
Yeah, great point. And then just still on the topic of integration, Joel, I'll kind of bring you back in here, but at least from my understanding of Acumatica, modern platform capable of integrating with so many other, especially, multiple industries, but construction specific. There's so many different softwares out there, and the way that Acumatica has positioned themselves to be able to support companies to integrate with all these different platforms, have the best in breed platform for expense management, and then payroll, and then time tracking, and then have a whole different system being best in breed for a whole different section that somebody needs support for in the office.